Hello, welcome to Symbl.ai 101. I'm here with Akansha Bashin, our community advocate at Symbl.ai. My name is Eric Giannini. I'm a lead developer advocate at Symbl.ai. We're here to give you a demonstration of Symbl.ai's conversational intelligence platform. We're going to give everyone who has just started the stream a few minutes to join the stream. If you're having difficulties joining the stream, please ping us in the chat. Looks like we have 5 viewers right now. We're going to go ahead and wait for additional viewers to show up. We'll give everyone 30 more seconds before we begin.
Yeah, until then, do let us know from which part of the world you have joined the live session.
Hey, it looks like we just got a question from Balaji. Balaji, we'll pass the link to you as soon as we get to that section of the presentation. It's been more than 30 seconds, so we're going to go ahead and start. So the objective of Symbl 101 is to provide you with an overview of Symbl.ai's platforms, its products, and its APIs. Essentially, Symbl.ai is a real-time analytics platform for automated speech recognition on multi-channel text, voice, or video calling. Symbl.ai's suite of APIs enables developers to track the highest points of artificial intelligence in calls with fully programmable API endpoints for triggering application-specific logic to drive results or new experiences around conversations. So the first step to get up and running on Symbl.ai's platform is to set up an account. So the first step to setting up an account is traveling over to platform.symbl.ai/#/sign up. Welcome. It looks like Balaji, who's in our chat stream, has just told us that he's joining from India.
India.
Welcome.
Yeah. Hi, Balaji.
I already have an account, so I'm just going to go ahead and sign in. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and go through the process of signing up with a demo account. I'm going to go back to the sign up page really quick. Great. Now I'm going to go back here. I'm going to sign in.
So we also have Mohsin joining from Pakistan. Welcome, Mohsin. I've also dropped in the chat section the link to platform.symbl.ai.
Welcome, Motion. Looks like other people are joining the stream midway through the process of us signing up for an account. If you haven't had a chance to sign up, please click on the link that Alkancha dropped in the channel. The link will take you through the same process that we went through just a few seconds ago to get to Symbl.ai's platform. When you arrive at Symbl.ai's platform, you can see that there is a number of different aspects to the platform. You have API Playground, you have usage, billing, docs, and apps. If you take a look at the API Playground, you can actually simulate the process of hitting one of our API endpoints right here inside of the platform's portal. As you can see here, there's a conversation. What we can do is we can pass that conversation over to Symbl.ai so that the conversation can be processed. After it's processed, it is assigned a conversation ID. And the conversation ID will be the thing that you use to identify the conversation for being able to fetch things like not just the transcript, but the action items, the follow-ups or questions, the common entities to a conversation in the business world, or topics, what was discussed, like mobile phone, AB Corp networks, technicians, or white noise. Great. So the reason why we wanted to sign in is so that we could get access to our app ID and our app secret. We're going to hold on to those. The next step is for us to create an account. Is to download Postman. If you're not familiar with Postman, we'll give you the basics that you need to get up and running with Symbl.ai on Postman. So the first step is to head over to this link. Alkancha has dropped it into the channel for you. We're going to give you guys 30 seconds to get where we are.
And if anyone is newbie and haven't read about or used Postman, they can definitely ask us in the chat section.
For our more active participants, we'd like to have you tell us whether or not you've been able to download the collection file from Postman. If you could send us an emoji thumbs up in the chat channel so that we have a fair idea of where you're at with respect to Postman. That'd be you, Balaji, and you, Motion. We'll go ahead and wait another 30 seconds to a minute for those thumbs up. Great. Looks like Balaji has just downloaded the Postman collection, so he'll be following along shortly. We're going to give Motion a couple of more seconds. Let us know if you've... Okay, great. It looks like Motion is a little ahead of the game. He says that he was working on consuming the audio API on a particular use case for transcription. Right now in Symbl.ai's 101 course, we're going to focus on getting everyone up to speed before we talk about use case specific integrations. But we'll definitely have time for that later, if you don't mind, Motion. And it looks like a couple of other people have downloaded and they're ready to follow along. So open up Postman. I've got Postman up and running over here with the team workspace. It has 35 different requests, as you can see over here on the left-hand side. If you're looking at what I'm looking at, there's a post request up over here on the right where it says generate token authenticate. There's a post request, and this is the basic structure of our API endpoints, right? We'll have api.symbl.ai / whatever it is that we want to consume through the API. In this particular API endpoint, we are going to add our app's ID and our app secret so that we can get a JWT that will enable us to hit other API endpoints in Symbl.ai's conversational AI platforms suite of APIs. So if you go back to the place where you had signed up, you grab the API key, the app ID, and you drop the app ID in here. You move over here and you grab this one, and you come over here and you drop that there. We're going to be deleting the account for corresponding to this app ID and app secret after the live stream. So we will not be exposing the app ID or app secret of this account. So it'll be secured later after the stream. We're showing you now how to get these things up and running with Postman. So once you've added those two pieces of credentials to the body of your authenticate request, you want to go ahead and press send. Great. Now you have an access token, and you are well on your way to hit other API endpoints. All right, I'm going to go back to the slide deck, and I'm going to go ahead and move forward with the slides so that we can move on to the next steps in Symbl.ai's 101 course. All right, so essentially in this course, what we want to do is we want to give you an overview. In the overview, we want to talk about what Symbl.ai is. We want to talk about how to get started with Symbl.ai. We want to give you an overview of the APIs. We want to hit some of them, not all of them. We want to talk about the conversation API and the streaming API. And then throughout the entire process, we want to make sure that you guys have a chance to raise questions with us. We're going to be attentive to those questions so that we can help you get up and running with Symbl.ai. So let me go ahead and give you a brief overview of what Symbl.ai is. Symbl.ai is a conversation intelligence platform for developers. And a conversation intelligence platform enables app developers to understand how to create new experiences around natural human conversations happening in multiple different channels. These channels are generally or some type of stream. There's some kind of live raw data, like a video, like a audio, or like a text. Whatever is happening in real time is something that Symbl.ai can help you augment with conversational intelligence. It is also designed to allow people to add experiences to conversations asynchronously. And we are an API company. Our products are based off of APIs. We have developed that particular product focus mindset so that we can enable or empower developers to create new experiences around conversations with our APIs or through extensions. The other aspect of Symbl.ai is that we're domain agnostic. If you wanted to use Symbl.ai on AWS or Twilio or Agora or Trello or Jira or whatever it may be, Symbl.ai doesn't have any kind of hard requirement that would prevent you from being able to get up and running with your specific integration, be it any one of these or other companies. What would the development paths that a developer could take to create new experiences around conversations with a conversational intelligence platform like Symbl.ai? In the following slide, you have an example or a set of examples that could lead to defining different workflows for creating new experiences around conversations. Excuse me. You have on the left-hand side multiple different channels. You have voice over IP, you have voicemail, video, audio, SMS, chat, emails, or transcripts. Those can go into different aspects like streaming, recording, or real time. And they can also be subject to batch processing, right? And then you can move from that flow over to speech recognition, where the recognition of the speech is the primary objective, so that you can have real-time tracked and personal intents. Or, through different flows, you could have accessibility and conversational intelligence powered search. You could also have conversation intelligence enabled workflow automation. In particular, that would be a situation where, let us say, for instance, we're on a Zoom call that we've fully enabled with the Symbl.ai's conversation AI platform to augment. And we have enabled Symbl.ai to track the action items that are happening in the Zoom call. And we push the action items from the Zoom call to Jira, so that if for every action item that appears in our conversation, a tool will open up a Jira ticket with the payload from Symbl.ai's action item that Symbl.ai detected during the course of the conversation. That is a simple example of how Symbl.ai can help you enable conversation intelligence workflow automations simply by being added to something like a Zoom call. You can also have content moderation or distribution. Our API endpoints for trackers enables developers to track specific entities that are occurring in conversations in real time, so that you can trigger application-specific logic that may or may not remove or add new experiences to a conversation happening in real time, so that content is moderated, or people who are participants in a conversation have their own content moderated. You can also do real-time or async coaching. And the other aspect is conversation quality and analytics. One of the big use cases that a lot of developers have found to be interesting here recently in the past few years has been the different ways in which sentiment analysis can be derived from real-time conversations. Symbl.ai has a product for sentiment analysis that you can check out. In the rest of the stream, we are going to go through essentially 3 steps. We're going to get started with Symbl.ai like we've done on Postman. We're going to go through several different API endpoints. Then we're going to move over to actually adding Symbl.ai to a stream, like a telephone call or a Zoom call. And then we're going to show you how to get up and running with the streaming API. The streaming API is really unique in that it's a source type that doesn't appear within Postman, because Postman doesn't have support yet for WebSockets. So let's go ahead and head over to Postman. If there's anyone who has joined the stream after we went through the process of authenticating, it would be great if you could give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down on where you're at with Postman. Okay, I'm looking back at the chat now. It looks like Motion has said that I see we have to use 2 different APIs. First, to update the API to get the conversation, and then get text in another request by passing conversation ID. I want to reserve Motion's question until after I have a chance to go over what Symbl.ai describes as its source types. So Motion, we'll come back to your question about how the APIs operate on asynchronously with respect to text. So Symbl.ai has essentially what are three different source types or ways or to enable access to raw streams. One of the source types is async. Async allows us to handle streams after they have occurred through API endpoints. You also have the telephony API. That is an API that allows us to connect to PSTN calls or to session initiation protocols. As I mentioned earlier, there's also another source type. It's called the streaming API. The streaming API is based on WebSockets. There are other source types or types that can be enabled through different protocols. One of the other protocols is a real-time messaging protocol. We won't go into depth about how to enable the real-time messaging protocol with something like Zoom because that is far beyond the scope of Symbl.ai's 101 course. Now I want to go ahead and direct your attention over to the Async API. We will get, sorry, not the Async API, the telephony API. We will get to the Async API in just a second. And I want you to check out this post request. Now, you are able to not only call your own phone so that you can add Symbl.ai to a telephony conversation, but you can also add Symbl.ai to a Zoom call. I've preloaded a telephone number into the DTMF sequence, and I'm going to go ahead and give this post request a try. For the DTMF sequence, the only thing that you have to do is a hash mark. And we should hear a call on my phone from Symbl.ai here in just a few seconds. Great. Okay, so it looks like Symbl.ai is calling my telephone. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start speaking into the telephone so that the telephone can track the messages in the call. Okay, so what has happened after the call connected properly? The call connected properly, and you have an event URL, a result WebSocket URL, conversation ID, and a connection ID. We will focus exclusively on the conversation ID. The conversation ID is something that you use to access the conversations that are created with Symbl.ai's platform. The conversation that is being tracked right now through the API endpoint that I just hit to make the call has a conversation ID right here. So what I can do is I can go over to the conversation APIs, which is the API that I use for debugging, and I can grab the conversation API endpoint and I can paste in the conversation ID, and then I can go ahead and send a post or GET request to get the messages that have accumulated after I connected Symbl.ai through the PSTN protocol to the telephone. So we will see exactly what I had said during our stream right here in the messages from the Conversation API's messages API. For those who are catching up, it'd be great if you guys could give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down as to your progress on this particular API endpoint. Are you guys with me? Where are you guys at? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Great. So I haven't heard anything yet. I will assume that everyone is still ready to go, and I will move on to the next aspect of the telephony API. Great. So I'm going to go back to the telephony API, and I'm going to drop that out. And before we had started the call, Akansha and I had created a Zoom meeting, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drag the Zoom meeting into the same area as the Postman call, so we can see when Symbl.ai will be added to the call. Okay, so the thing about Zoom is slightly different from the way that you would add Symbl.ai to a regular telephone call like I did just a few seconds ago. With Zoom, you have to configure the DTMF so that your DTMF will dial in the meeting ID at the very least. You may also have to dial in a participant ID as well as a passcode. For this particular Zoom call, we have added not just the meeting ID, but also the passcode. So I will show you how to configure that. But the number that you put in for phone number is the one-tap mobile number that appears in your Zoom's invite. Cool. And so the second step is to go ahead and add the meeting ID. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the meeting ID. I'm going to put it over here. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the passcode. And then I'm going to configure them so that Symbl.ai will be able to connect to the Zoom call. Oops. There we go. So once I properly configure the DTMF, or the dual multi-tone frequency, or what is essentially just a dial pad, I'm going to go ahead and send that request. And shortly after we send the request, Symbl.ai should be adding itself to the call. In the same way that we were able to track the messages from the telephone call, we'll also be able to track the messages from the Zoom call. And what's interesting about the telephony API for Zoom is that you'll also see or hear the messages of Zoom allowing our software to dial in the numbers for meeting ID and passcode. And Akansha is the host, so Akansha should be allowing the oh, great. That is Symbl.ai. So Symbl.ai has just joined itself to our Zoom call. What we're going to do is we're going to go back over to the results of the telephony API's PSTN endpoint, and and we're going to grab the conversation ID again. We'll go back over to messages, and we'll go ahead and we'll run that same API request all over again to get the messages. And then what Akansha and I will do, or I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to unmute the call so that you can see that the messages that I am recording are appearing with Symbl.ai. Great. So as you can see right here, what I had just said is recorded by the Symbl.ai and transcribed. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to unmute the call so that you can see that the messages that I'm recording are appearing in the Zoom call. Great. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to end the Zoom call. And we're going to recap briefly here for a second to explain what we have just accomplished. We have just added Symbl.ai to a telephone call. We have just added Symbl.ai to a Zoom call. We've added Symbl.ai to those types of calls through our PSTN connection. Great. So let's go ahead and move on now to the Async API. I want to take a second here just to check to see if there was any questions that came up. It looks like we got a thumbs up from Karamjot, and there are no questions. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to move through the Async API. Great. Okay. So our Async API consists primarily of 3 different types of API endpoints. These 3 different types of API endpoints revolve around different channels. There is the text, the audio, and the video. For each one of the API endpoints, you have a post and a put request. The post request allows you to create a conversation. The put request allows you to modify that conversation so you can add things to the conversation after the conversation is created. If you were going to assemble a conversation from multiple different channels, like in a omni-channel multi-member conversation that went from SMS to chat to voice to video, you could do that with the Symbl.ai's put request for after the chat conversation has ended. You could begin putting messages onto that chat conversation as they occur in real time from the voice or the video channels. So you can achieve a multi-channel or omni-channel contextual conversation that is aggregated all together in a single conversation with our async APIs. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to give you a really simple example of how to upload a text file with Symbl.ai's async API. I went ahead and I've configured the content of that API endpoint to be hello world, and the name to be developer, and the user ID dev@developer.com. If you guys are right here with me, you can do the same thing, or you can come up with whatever other text you'd like to do. Go ahead and send that API endpoint. Great. So after I've sent a request through that API endpoint, it looks like there's something about Postman. I can go back over to the conversation API and I can grab messages and I can take a look at the message right there. Great. So the message that I sent over with the Async API sent over hello world. For a few of the API endpoints, there's already a file uploaded in the body of the requests. So for audio, if you wanted to submit a new conversation to Symbl.ai, you could do that right here. You could do that through URL. If you had a file, you could do that through the post request enabled for the file. You would go over here and you would select the file. We can go ahead and we can send this file from the URL just like that. Great. And as you've seen earlier, for every time that you create a Symbl.ai conversation, you get a conversation ID. And you can do the same thing with the video API endpoint. You can send a video with the post request for Symbl.ai's Async API for the video with URLs, and you can get the conversation ID, and you can go over and you can check out the messages. Great. So here's a list of messages that were sent during the course of the conversation that occurred in the video that was just uploaded through the Async API's post request. Great. Okay, so the next step I would like to take would be to give you guys just a second to digest all the information that we've gone over here with respect to the two source types, especially the Async API source type. If you have any questions while you're trying out those API endpoints that we just demoed, go ahead and drop a question into the chat within the next minute, and we'll go ahead and we'll try to answer that question for you right now. And just to give you a little bit more background, the Async API is a mainstay for backend offline asynchronous processing, providing access to the same insights as both this telephony and the streaming API. Insights is something that we haven't discussed in detail yet. We will discuss those after we get the WebSocket API up and running. Great. I'm going to wait another 30 seconds. If no one asks any questions, and move on to the WebSocket API endpoint. Okay, so it looks like everyone is on board with respect to both the telephony API as well as the Async API. I'm going to go ahead and go over here to Symbl.ai. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the streaming API's code. I think it's really great that the team at Symbl.ai has provided us with a code sample straight away from the website. You can also get a copy of that same code snippet from the docs. Right, basically right here. Akansha will give you that. I'll go ahead and drop that link in there for you. But you don't need to follow that tutorial. You can follow along with me. There's just 2 simple steps that we have to take to get this up and running. So you copy this code, right? And then you go over here to your Chrome browser and you press Option Command J so that you can open up the console, and then you drop it into the console and you go up to the access token, and we go back over here to Postman, right? And we grab our JWT, JSON Web Token, and you have to be really careful to make sure that you properly copy it, because if you make a mistake dropping in the access token, the code in the console won't run. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to drop it in. And so it looks like it was properly dropped in. Let me go ahead and hit enter. And shortly after I hit enter, it logs a conversation ID, which is the backbone of Symbl.ai's tool. And then it will begin logging messages as I speak here. Let me go ahead and grab this conversation ID. And this is essentially the WebSocket. Now, the WebSocket is composed of essentially the same structure, but it is under a secured WebSocket. It's WS API.symbl.ai/version1/realtime/insights/meeting ID with access token as a query. Now let's go back over to Postman. We've got our conversation ID, and let's go ahead and check out the messages that were logged as a result of running the WebSocket API endpoint.
And in the meantime, we have one question from Mohsen Khan. Is there a way to directly get transcription with calling 2 APIs?
We would have to know exactly what he means by get transcription by calling 2 APIs. What 2 APIs would Motion like to hit? Motion, could you tell us which API endpoints you would like to hit? Okay, so it looks like Motion might have stepped away from his keyboard. So you can get transcripts from a conversation in the ways that we had just shown you. After you create a connection through one of the source types, your connection will create a conversation ID. And with that conversation ID, you can load it into the messages API and get transcripts. Okay, so Motion is asking, can we avoid making 2 API endpoint calls, like the first upload audio and then get transcription? It would have to depend upon the API endpoint. If you do the WebSocket API, you don't have to make an additional call to get transcription, because all of the transcription will happen within the onMessage event, so that right after creating the WebSocket, all of your conversational data that occurs inside of the WebSocket will be logged as events. And for every one of those events, there'll be a message, and the message won't have to be the result of a new API call. So as you can see here, the messages from the transcription are being logged as part of the event-driven structure on message as a method call for the WebSocket. So you have to make no additional call to the WebSocket API endpoint like you would with the HTTP or HTTPS API endpoints. It looks like you have a particular use case in mind for Symbl.ai 101. What we do is we try to give people the basics so that we can get up and running out of the gate. For use case specific questions, we are going to set up a special time to discuss. Great. So you can see there that the WebSockets are logging messages, and we're going to grab the conversation ID again and go over to conversation, go to messages. And then we're going to give you like a brief overview of some of the insights. Now that, oh, I'm sorry, I grabbed the wrong conversation ID. Go back up to the top of this WebSocket and grab that conversation ID. So this will show us all the messages that were logged during the WebSocket. Now, I have just used the message API on the conversation API, which is the suite of APIs for analytics. Within the conversation API suite of APIs, the analytics extend to not just topics, which are the most salient subjects of a conversation, but to questions, follow-ups, action items. They also cover analytics. Analytics is an aspect of Symbl.ai's suite of analytics for speaker analytics. Speaker analytics tracks things like the overlap between speakers, the speaker ratio, or the speaker time. You can find those in the docs. Here's the link to the docs. And also you have questions, follow-ups, action items. And in addition, you have an experience API. If we wanted to see what the experience of our conversation is, we can hit this API endpoint and we can open up a summary that's displayed on a page. I grab this URL. It'll take a second to load. As you can see here, the summary or experience API endpoint provides you with an onboarding experience that you can go through later with your own conversation ID after you get the WebSocket up and running. The conversational experience API provides you with conversation idea gaming, WebSocket API endpoint, and API endpoints. These are the summary topics. So those are a few of the conversation insights that you can get a hold of. We also have trackers. Trackers is an advanced subject that we don't cover in detail in Symbl.ai 101. But if you wanted to track specific entities in a conversation, you could set up trackers on a different API endpoint under the management API, where all of the phrases that are a part of the set of vocabulary items in the tracker are tracked in the conversation. So let's go ahead and go back to our slide deck. We covered getting started with Symbl.ai. We covered how to set up telephony integrations with 2 types of PSTN connections, and then we covered conversation insights. We also set the streaming API endpoint up. We showed you this streaming API endpoint. We hit that endpoint and we talked about the on message function logging transcription through an event driven architecture. I just want to recap, what is Symbl.ai? Symbl.ai is a conversation intelligence API platform for developers. Symbl.ai's APIs provide developers with the ability to augment conversations with new experiences in much the same way that virtual reality or artificial reality provides you with the ability to augment conversations in real time. In addition, Symbl.ai provides a conversation API that allows you to gain access to insights such as questions, follow-ups, or I forgot the third one, action items. And we showed you how to run a WebSocket stream. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to open up the floor to any lingering questions before we close the stream. Does anyone have any questions? If you do, but you're too shy to ask, or you may not have time now, you can also try to answer them through a search of our docs. Go to docs.symbl.ai/docs. You can also, you can also go to our GitHub repo to check out a few of the apps that we have built. We also have projects on GitHub that you can add to. You could create pull requests, and you could add new features to those. And we've also got a Slack community channel. It would be great if I could meet all of you back over at the Slack community channel. Akansha is going to go ahead and drop the link to this Slack community channel into your is going to go ahead and drop the link into your chat. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pass it over to Akansha to close out the stream. And I thank you guys for listening. And it was great to go over Symbl.ai's basics with you. Go ahead, Akansha.
Okay, I will be dropping all the links, and thank you so much for being a fantastic audience. If you want to deep digger and refer our docs, and if you feel stuck, join our Slack channel. And we also have a separate support channel where you can ask your doubts. And I have just added the link, and it is also shown on the screen, Symbl.ai Slack. And those who have joined our stream for the first time, do check out our hackathon. It's like a 2-month virtual hackathon. We have lots of cool prizes and contests, and dropping the link of the hackathon as well. Yeah, here you go. bit.ly/symbl.1. And wait, don't forget to tweet about your experience using the hashtag Symbl.ai, and do tag us on our accounts SymbolDev and Symbl.ai. I'm also adding this in the chat section. Okay, I've added all the things, and I've also added one doc. It has all the links of all this, like the resources. Okay. Thank you so much, Eric.
Thank you, Akansha.
Yeah. And if you have any doubts, you can ask us. We can wait for 1 or 2 minutes. Yeah, I've also dropped in the feedback form link as well. We have one question from Singh Sandhu. Is there any way to get info from two persons speaking on call? Yes, you can definitely add two persons as well.
That's a great question. We have a link to a document that our CTO prepared. The CTO prepared a document that discusses the best schemes for your audio integrations. In that discussion, the CTO talks about speaker separation. And speaker separation is where you would be able to pick up the audio streams from two different speakers. And he also talks about what would be the best protocol for that.
Yeah, I've dropped in the link as well.
Oh, wonderful. I was going to make an announcement that Postman just released support for WebSocket's API. So Symbl.ai will be updating its collection with, or releasing a new collection in regards to Postman's latest update on the WebSocket API. I think that's all the questions for today. So Akansha and I are going to close out the stream, and we're going to look forward to speaking to you in Slack.
Okay, bye everyone.